With Youjo Senki or Saga of Tanya the Evil Season 2 officially announced for 2026, yeah, I never lost faith, it's time to get back into the trenches. If you need a reminder of what happened in Season 1 and the movie of Youjo Senki, this video is for you. This is the complete timeline of the saga of Tanya the Evil, from the fall of a salaryman, to the rise of one of the most dangerous child soldiers in anime history. Please subscribe for more breakdowns. Our story begins in modern Japan, with an unnamed salaryman who believed deeply in rationality, order, and meritocracy. Not much is known about the man who was formerly Tanya. It is speculated that he must have been born around 1980 AD. The novel tells us that he acquired language skills and culture, visited alumni who came from the same alma mater and accepted invitations to drinks with the recruiters from Human Resources, all of this for them to offer guidance about what qualities recruiters looked for in companies and how to present himself in the interviews, just to get a job that put food on the table. He believes the world is governed by systems, not morality. People are resources, loyalty is conditional, and survival belongs to those who plan ahead. We see him for the first time in episode 2 of the anime while he's firing an employee for underperformance, making this employee more sympathetic than in the novel. The story reveals that he's been absent quite a lot, he's taken out multiple cash advance loans, he refuses to see the occupational physician and he mocks the salaryman behind his back, calling him a heartless monster, boss's pet, or cyborg. So, to me at least his dismissal is justified. He was so unstable that after firing him, his superiors warned the salaryman to watch his back, but unfortunately, he didn't understand the treat this pose and that very same day, that disgraced employee pushes him from a train platform. As the train approaches, time stops. A mysterious entity appears, claiming to be the creator of humanity, a god who reincarnates souls. Depending on the adaptation, Being X takes different forms. In the light novel and manga, it appears as an elderly man, straight out of a stereotypical god archetype. In the anime, Being X has no fixed form, and it's here when I think the salaryman had just very bad luck that day, because this Being X, to me feels like he was just done with work. If you really think about it, his conversation with Being X was less a judgment and more a debate. Well, at least in the light novel, in the anime Being X is more hostile. The self-proclaimed god just was complaining about overworking and the salaryman was rage-baiting him a little but also answering him, to his understanding, been someone who built his career on efficiency and understanding the ruthless mechanics of society. To him, gods are merely irrational systems, and faith is nothing more than a psychological crutch. In the end the salaryman lost the debate. His punishment for a lack of faith? Reincarnation into the body of a baby girl named Tanya Degurechaff, in a world not of advanced technology, but in a brutal mirror of our own early 20th century, one shaped by industrial warfare, nationalism, and mass mobilization, telling the salaryman that if he doesn't awake spiritually or dies peacefully, he would not reincarnate anymore. It's important to note that for Being X, this is only an experiment to see if this circumstances really awakens faith in humanity, but this actions makes an eternal enemy of the salaryman, who now more than ever rejects faith, rejects prayer, and rejects the very idea of divine authority. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Now let's continue. Thus, begins the life of Tanya Degurechaff, born on July 18, unified year 1914, though the anime ambiguously lists the year being 1913, in the Empire, a nation closely resembling Imperial Germany. We know that his father was a soldier but he dies of an unidentified cause. She then is abandoned by her biological mother, and left at the orphanage by September 1914. 3 months later, while being spoon-fed, Tanya's consciousness awakens. Her first memory is not love or warmth, but self-awareness. By 1917, she learns how to read and write. In 1919, she gets into a fight about food at the orphanage and achieves a peaceful resolution. We don't know what that means exactly, but the other party is sure to have it bad. And in October of 1921, the Empire's military, always hungry for resources, finds out her magical aptitude. Tanya, retaining her memories, intelligence, and ruthless pragmatism, quickly realizes 3 truths. 1. This world is headed for war. 2. Magic exists. And it is militarized. 3. Survival means rising through the system. Presented with a conscription notice, a month later her choice was no choice at all. To avoid the chaos of the front lines, Tanya joins the Imperial Military Academy, seeing it as the most secure career path in a wartime economy and hoping for a safe rear echelon career. When asked why she volunteered for the military academy, her answer was chilling in its truth: "I have no other path." At just 8 years old, Tanya enters the Mage Corps. Using her knowledge of modern military theory, a child prodigy was forged. But she hasn't had it easy. At the beginning she couldn't hold a gun because it was too big, she couldn't aim, and the recoil ended up bruising her shoulder. When she sparred, her partner always threw her. This changed for the better when she got her magical orb, allowing her to see the world as 3 numeric vectors and superposing the realm of numbers with magical interference formulas. Because they depended on brains, not brawn, the magic arts were the only area where she succeeded, if only barely. She overcame her reservations about magic due to its usefulness. Here, Eric von Rerugen first takes notice of her, both impressed and deeply unsettled. Across 2 inspections, he witnesses her strategic brilliance in class, her ruthless discipline as a drill instructor, and her casual threat of lobotomy toward an insubordinate cadet. This is what makes Rerugen dislike Tanya so much and be concerned of what she might become. During a live exercise in 1923, Tanya leads cadets through rebel territory, rescuing trapped comrades. High Command recommends her for commendation, but Rerugen blocks her early promotion, allegedly because of her young age. And her education continues until in June of 2023, Warrant Officer Tanya Degurechaff, then a simple cadet, was officially commissioned as a second lieutenant and graduated early at the age of 9 years old. While she was completing her training in the field, more specifically in the boring yet perilous north, a border crisis occurred. The Entente Alliance, who was planning to conduct a large-scale cross-border operation, in a move that shocked everyone, declared war to the Empire. It was then that Tanya's first real combat comes. Her first mission was as an artillery observer and was assigned the call sign Fairy 08. Tanya thinks this is an opportunity to climb the ranks in a one-sided conflict for the Empire couldn't possibly lose. Her mission is simply to take out enemies from the safety of the sky and get promoted. But she didn't know she was about to confront Anson, a man of faith and her ideological opposite in the anime. The Entente Alliance forces, having fallen into chaos, needed some leadership. The situation was so awful that instead of putting up a unified resistance, it was every unit for themselves. Anson, the commander of 5th Air Mage Battalion, needed to do something about the bombardment to support the surviving forces in their retreat. Knowing that the artillery positions are certain to be fortified, he goes against the observers, knowing they were flying solo, not even bothering to conceal their locations. They attack the area under Tanya's supervision, who think that she would literally go down as the Empire's one and only black mark for the whole battle, seen as the Imperial forces were dominating most of the field. Her incompetence could be recorded as the sole failure among everyone else's successes. In a panic she calls for help, but the reinforcements are too far to help. She asks for permission to withdraw, but it's denied. To preserve her life, her wisest course of action is to beat a hasty retreat, but needed a pretext to ensure she won't become immortalized in military history as a coward. Without a second thought, she started doping up with one interference formula after the next, improving her reaction time, increasing her strength, and before her brain registers the shooting pain of forcing open the magic circuits, she alleviates it with intracerebral narcotics. Yes, the moment where Tanya acts all crazy in the anime just because, is explained in the novel. She starts speaking aloud to be seen as brave, for her efforts will allow to dodge criticism once everyone learns she gave her all to fulfill her duty even under the worst conditions. After seemingly a suicide attack, she leaves the battlefield and Anson eventually retreated, having shot down the observer, but this confrontation will haunt him for a while. Tanya was awarded the Silver Wings Assault Badge, followed by her naming as White Silver. She also participates in a propaganda photo shoot. Meanwhile, the General Staff decides to mobilize the entire Continental Army, launching a major offensive against Legadonia, this with the idea to free the Empire from the ever-present problem of being surrounded on all sides by other nations. In dealing a devastating blow to the neighboring Entente Alliance, they could successfully eliminate one of the potential threats facing the Empire and resolve a geopolitical problem that had haunted them for ages. The only ones to oppose such plan were the Brigadiers Generals von Zetour and von Ruttersdorf. They don't want to alter their policies for national defense, including Plan 315, which account for the possibility of a multi-front war. But with no indication of mobilization of the powerhouses, they lose the argument. This would prove to be a fatal error of the Empire. Tanya receives the notice for a domestic assignment with the combat instructor unit, along with a request that she be lent out to headquarters as technology inspection personnel. Thinking she has landed her rear service and a strong career path, Tanya was happy. But the new prototype operational orb she had to test was the Elinium Type 95, the first and only orb with 4 engines, having successfully miniaturized the cores but making it so that the orb consumption of mana is at least 6 times the norm, which means the operator will get exhausted more quickly. Not only that, but the orb is incredibly unstable, exploding at the minimum inconvenience. Something that happened to Tanya numerous times. Because of this, Tanya absolutely hates Adelheid von Schugel, the chief engineer overseeing the prototype, and the one always pushing her to the limit. Being fed up, and believing she will be safer at the front lines, she sends multiple transfer requests. The logistics headquarters' technology division was split into the ones who think Tanya was too valuable in her current position to let her go as the only one even marginally capable of meeting Schugel standards, and have some success in operating Elinium 95, and those who wanted to stop further development for lack of funds and the risk it put its user. The latter one. Tanya gets notified that her transfer request was approved and would stop the research of the artifact. The war spreads westward. The Francois Republic declares war on the Empire, opening the second front in the lowlands industry region. Before Tanya can escape, Chief Engineer Aldehyde forces her to a last test. When the orb is about to explode, killing Tanya, being X interfere directly for the first time, blessing Elinium Type 95, to boost Tanya's faith, forcing her to pray every time she has to activate the full potential of the orb, saving her. In the novel is an unnamed god that explained Tanya that it's a relic to help boost faith in humanity, for the number of pious humans is decreasing rapidly, and have chosen Aldehyde because he was researching an item that is just a step from the godly realm, even if it would take another 1,000 years for it to be successful. On the Rhine front, the Empire clashes with the Republic. As I mentioned before, the main forces of the Imperial Army, with their larger numbers of troops and superior equipment, were deployed north by order of the General Staff for an offensive against Legadonia, leaving the Western Army completely alone against the Republican forces, and while it managed to halt the invasion, it could not push back the enemy without the support of the Central Army. Without the prospect of receiving reinforcements in the near future, the Imperial Army became embroiled in a seemingly endless trench war, its only respite being the deployment of a few officers from the training corps, such as Tanya. Tanya, gathering data in combat of the Elinium 95, is assigned as the leader of the 3rd Platoon of the 205th Assault Mage Company under the command of 1st Lieutenant Schwarzkopf. Here, Tanya meets Victoria Ivanovna Serebryakov, better known as Visha. Tanya gets in an argument with Kirst von Walhorf and Harold von Vist, ending being reassigned in the rear and later killed. The 205th is sent to rescue an allied unit, but it is too late. After peace negotiations fail, Tanya wipes out the 228th Reconnaissance Mage Company in a single magical explosion. She earns her infamous nickname, the Devil of the Rhine. The Republican Army headquarters knows about her existence and is recognized as a threat in frontline records. There is a War College candidate selection review, where Erich von Rerugen attempts to reject Tanya's entry but fails. Tanya receives notice of her enrollment to War College, is promoted to 1st Lieutenant and leaves the Rhine front, not before recommending Visha for officer course in military academy. Tanya attends Charlottenburg War College. 6 months into her studies, one Sunday, she happens to meet Brigadier General von Zetur in the school library and discusses the concept of total war and the hypothesis of using a battalion of mages as a rapid response unit. Rerugen is sent to inspect regional armies, and read the paper about total war written by Zetur, who also proposes the rapid response mage battalion in a general staff conference and is approved. Tanya assists the War College field trip to Alps. Later she demonstrates the legality of urban combat at a joint strategy research meeting held at the Higher War College, in a hypothetical scenario she believes will never happen. This will come to bite her later. Using her manipulative skills, Tanya persuades Youjo to pursue a rear position for the well-being of his wife and newborn baby daughter. She graduates from War College in 11th place, and becoming one of 12 knights at the age of 10, she is given noble status, so her name now is Tanya von Degurechaff. That evening, she dines with General Zetur and Colonel von Cordel and is tasked with training the new Magic Rapid Response Battalion, ending her dream of a safe, rear echelon command job. After Zetur informs Tanya of her new post as organizer officer of the V601 training unit, she is promoted to captain. She receives help from an old acquaintance, 2nd Lieutenant Degurechaff, who completed her accelerated course at the officers' school and was assigned as her assistant. The selection process of candidates for V601 using optical illusion test begins, but because the applicants did not meet the ideal standards, Tanya is tasked with training them, so they go to the Zugspitze training area in the Alps for Spartan retraining. Thanks to Tanya's connection with Shuggle, Elinium Type 97 is distributed to every member of V601, completing their retraining and receiving notice for deployment to Southeastern Theater from Revolving. Tanya is promoted to Major to lead the newly formed Imperial 203rd Aerial Mage Battalion. In the middle of their demonstration maneuvers to impress the Imperial General Staff Commissioners, on September 24th, Tanya's birthday on paper, the Principality of Dacia declares war on the Empire and mobilizes its troops to launch an invasion, opening the Third Front in Imperial Dacia. With this move, the Triple Alliance planned to pressure the Reich from 3 distant fronts, but they had not reckoned with Dacia's immense weakness. That same day, the 203rd Battalion destroys a large part of the enemy vanguard, along with its headquarters. In the early hours of the following day, Tanya leads the world's first night air urban raid in the capital of Dacia, bombarding the Carburius weapons factory. The 17th Army and the 7th Imperial Air Fleet annihilate the invading Dacian army. In November, Dacia capitulates and its territory is occupied after 6 weeks of a one-sided war. Having cleared the way, the Empire's next objective was to end the war against Legadonia. The 203rd Battalion is transferred to the Norden Front, where Tanya will meet the newly promoted Colonel Anson. The 5th of November, order for 203rd Mage Battalion's deployment to Norden is issued. When they arrive, they rescue the Imperial Viper Battalion while fighting Legadonian army mages and bombers defending the Kragana supply depot. Tanya also destroys a secret Allied Kingdom observation post where Drake was. In the novel we see a survivor from the air fleet shot down by Tanya awakens in a military hospital with horrific memories of the attack. And if you want to know more about the differences between anime and novel, consider see my other video. Anyway, Ruttersdorf drafts an airborne and amphibious operation plan, and reaches a consensus of a winter offensive with the Northern Front. Later, at a joint conference between the Northern Army Command and the Central Army Commissioners, a heated debate ensues between Tanya and the Chief of Staff of Army Group North. After more than 18 months of war, the Entente-Legadonia alliance was barely holding on and could only continue to resist thanks to the support provided by the Republic. Knowing this, Anson says goodbye to his family who are fleeing to the Unified States for their safety. Here, his daughter, Mary Sue, gives her father a very special submachine gun as a gift, provided to her by a Commonwealth spy she met earlier in a church. Then he transfers to Osfjord, where he prepares to fight to the bitter end. Tanya meets with General von Ruttersdorf trying to avoid the winter offensive but uncovers a secret landing plan on her own. Later there is a meeting to discuss the terms of cooperation between the Central Army, the Northern Army, and the Northern Fleet. In early December, the Imperial Army successfully executes an amphibious operation in the Legadonian rear, while simultaneously diverting its troops with a winter offensive on the front lines. The Empire landed troops in the city of Osv to seize enemy supply lines and hasten its destabilization thanks to the flawless airborne assault of the 203rd Battalion. Here Tanya confronts Anson once more. This time, Tanya leaves him for death and steals his submachine gun. In the novel he truly dies by her hand, later attempting to defend a fleet. The Republican Navy's Channel Fleet discovers the operation too late and can't help. The Entente tries to establish a government in exile with the help of the Commonwealth but fails spectacularly. Leading intelligence service believes there is an infiltrator within her organization. There is kind of a political incident involving a Commonwealth submarine being damaged, which leads Tanya being court-martialed, but ends in nothing. It was only a matter of time before the Entente surrenders. Now 2 of the threats to the Empire have been neutralized, only the Republic in the Rhine remained. The Imperial General Staff was determined to defeat the Republic and end the war on the Western Front. In March, the 203rd Mage Battalions is deployed to the Rhine Front, where they receive a training mission and participates in many battles. In April, Ruttersdorf proposes General Staff his astonishing operation plan to trap the Republican forces in a joint meeting between the Service Corps and Operations, but an unexpected incident caught them off guard. In May, the imperial city of Arene was seized by rebels who cut the railway lines linking the imperial forces at the front to the rear and received direct support from the Republic with the deployment of an elite air mage battalion. As Arene was a vital logistical hub for transporting supplies to the front lines, the General Staff could not afford to lose the railways in that region, so they made a drastic decision. The 203rd Battalion is ordered to quell the rebellion. The Arene militia received a warning from the Imperial Army to evacuate the city to avoid collateral damage. However, they ignored this, which led to the Arene massacre. That same day, the militia executed prisoners of war and renounced their civilian status, declaring themselves enemies of the Empire. Therefore, the Western Army Command approved the bombardment of the city to eliminate threats to national security. The Arene incident served to spread disinformation within the Republic and feign weakness, lulling the enemy into a false sense of security so the Empire could cautiously prepare its next move. The 203rd Battalion is ordered to fight a long-range reconnaissance and combat mission to disguise the Army of the West's withdrawal from the lowlands, planting explosive charges beneath the trenches they abandoned. This was no easy task, especially for the mages who had to disguise the retreat, but the mission was successful. And so, Phase 1, Fog and Sun, of Operation Revolving Door is executed. Mary Sue, who is in Arkansas with her mother and grandmother, learns from Legadonian embassy officials that her father is now dead. Due to the Imperial Army's withdrawal from the Rhine front, Commonwealth politicians become convinced that the war will end with the Empire's defeat. They decide to demonstrate their strength by deploying a unit of sea mages. Phase 2, Operation Shock and Awe was executed on May 25 with a simultaneous attack on Republican Army installations in the rear by a select group of mages from the 203rd Battalion. Tanya and her battalion successfully destroy the enemy headquarters and withdraw. The objective was to decapitate the enemy before proceeding to the next stage, Operation Lock. As the Republican Army's field troops advanced into the lowlands, the Empire detonated the trenches on their left flank to draw the enemy in and trap them. The next step in Operation Revolving Door was the total extermination of the Republicans. The Imperial General Staff receives an ultimatum from the Allied Kingdom, but decides to ignore it. On their way to the Rhine front, the 203rd Battalion encounters an Allied Kingdom Sea Mage unit commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Drake. After a brief skirmish, the Sea Mages retreat. In mid-June, the Imperial Army marches toward the Republic's capital. The 203rd Battalion is among the first to arrive outside Parisi. Following the Republican defeat on the battlefield, a ceasefire was initiated to discuss peace terms between the Empire and the Republic. However, General de Lugo did not agree with his country's surrender, assembling the Republican forces at the port of Brest to embark, this with the intention of organizing a government in exile to continue the fight against the Imperials from the southern continent. Tanya, being aware of this, wants to prevent the Republican Navy from leaving the continent by launching a V-1 attack, but the Western Army Command denies her permission. When she attempts to use her own authority to carry out the mission, she is stopped by the General Staff. Tanya decides to go to the capital to talk to Zetur and ask him what's going on. There, she discovers that everyone is celebrating too. She is the only one who is desperate and realizes that their only chance to win the war has slipped away. The Empire became overconfident in its victory, and the Free Republic's declaration of war took it by surprise. We end Season 1 with General de Lugo declaring publicly that the Republic will fight in exile as the Free Republican forces. The Commonwealth also declares war on the Empire as the Free Republic and the surviving elements of the Legadonian forces allies. Mary Sue joins the Unified States Volunteer Force to fight against the Empire and is sent to the Commonwealth for training. Zetur and Ruttersdorf have an unpleasant lunch while discussing the Imperial Army's recent mistakes and the next steps in the new phase of the war. The August 29th, in the joint meeting between the Service Corps and Operations, General Staff decides to send an expeditionary corps to southern continent. In September, an order for Tanya and the 203rd Mage Battalion's deployment to Southern Continental Expeditionary Corps is issued. We don't see this in the movie, but Tanya has a brief meeting with General von Rommel, the Imperial Southern Continent Expeditionary Force commander. Now we enter the first battle we see in the movie of Youjo Senki. In October, de Lugo develops a new plan to defeat Rommel, who decides to attack, but Tanya has her doubts and requests permission to conduct an aerial reconnaissance. This will save the Expeditionary Corps. The 203rd Battalion finds no Free Republican Army units where they are supposed to be, so Tanya assumes correctly that they have fallen into a trap and Delugo wants to encircle the Imperial Corps. She decides to attack the enemy headquarters to ruin their plan. Just like in the Rhine, she is successful, and destroys the Free Republican Forces headquarters. Lieutenant Colonel Vianto saves Delugo at the last minute. The general decides to order a retreat. This brought the activities of the Free Republic to a standstill for some time. And then, in March of 1926, the Empire's greatest fear materialized. The Russi Federation, its leader manipulated by being X, opened an eastern front. The 15th of March, Tanya and her 203rd Battalion return to the Empire after their service on the southern continent. They are met by Lieutenant Colonel Rirugin and Major Yuger and assigned a new mission, to investigate suspicious Federation movements on the eastern border. Tanya's battalion arrives at the eastern front for a long-range reconnaissance mission and parachutes into the Federation, in the precise moment to see the Federation army sneak attack the Imperial Eastern Army Group, officially declaring war on the Empire and completely overwhelming the Eastern Army, which had no combat experience. The 203rd Battalion attacks an enemy camp and destroys a railway gun. Tanya then requests permission from the General Staff to attack the enemy capital to divert enemy troops to the rear and relieve pressure on the front, which is approved. The 16th of March the 203rd Battalion carries out the Imperial raid on Moskva, destroying several Federation monuments and government facilities, concluding by singing the Imperial anthem over the enemy capital. At that moment, the People's Commissar for Internal Affairs, Comrade Loria, falls in love with Tanya. But this is not just a story of tactical genius. It's a story of cascading consequences. In Norden, Tanya killed a Legedonian officer, Anson. His death created an Avenger. His daughter, Mary, blessed, or cursed, by the same being X, joined the fight with a fanatical hatred for the Empire. Tanya faces Mary Sue in direct combat for the first time. Neither emerges unchanged. The news of the Imperial Army's attack on Moskva spreads around the world. The Empire's subjects celebrate the victory, but the members of the General Staff are furious at Tanya's actions. Tanya is court-martialed for the attack and is acquitted. It's funny to me how in the novel Tanya is court-martialed at least 2 to 3 times, but in the anime there's no consequences for her actions. In March 27th, the 203rd Mage Battalion arrives to Tegenhof to help the surrounded 3rd and 32nd Imperial Divisions. The first battle went favorably for the Empire, but things took a turn for the worse when the Federation reinforced the strike group with 8 infantry divisions, a fleet of bombers and other aircraft, and a multinational unit. The movie climaxes in relentless fighting. Tanya confirms her hypothesis that the Federation lacks air mages in its ranks. Tanya and Mary clashes again, but unlike Tanya's calculated cruelty, Mary fights with pure rage and faith and neither truly wins. After 18 hours of intense fighting, the Federation army was defeated and withdrew from the battle. This turning point marked the beginning of the end for the Federation invasion, because having recaptured Tegenhof, the Empire could use the city as a hub to coordinate the counteroffensive that would restore stability to the front. The film ends in June 1926, with the Eastern Front momentarily stabilized, but not broken. Mary survives, now utterly consumed by her holy crusade against the devil. Tanya understands that being X has created a personal nemesis for her, and the war has become exponentially more dangerous. After the battle, Tanya requests a rearguard post from Zetur to research and development of new tactics, and she is reassigned to the west. Believing that at last, she has her dreamed rear job, Tanya celebrates. In the post-credits scene, Zetur informs Tanya that she will be in charge of the new combat group that she suggested in one of her investigations, an experimental Kampfgruppe. By June 1926, Tanya von Degurechaff, the salaryman reborn, had been baptized in fire across an entire continent. From an orphanage to the Rhine, from the deserts of the south to the frozen hell of the east. She sought a quiet life, and was given a legend written in blood and explosions. She fought nations, and she fought God. Going to the second season, things for her and the Empire are not looking good. The Empire is now fighting in 3 active fronts widely separated from one another against a coalition including the Free Republic in the south, the Commonwealth in the west, the Federation in the east, and remnants of other states. They are winning every battle, but the war of attrition is slowly draining them, and they're facing internal strain. Tanya's attempts to secure a safe posting keeps backfiring spectacularly, often earning her more fame and more dangerous missions. The most important battleground for the Empire at this time lies in the east, so we can anticipate that it will be the central focus of the plot throughout the second season, following the light novel's timeline. From here on out, we can expect unmissable battles, because the real war in Youjo Senki has just began. The stage is set for the next, even more brutal chapter of Tanya's war. Whether you're a veteran of the 203rd or a new recruit, this is your essential briefing. Did we miss any crucial details? What are you most excited to see in Season 2? What's your favorite part of the war shown in the anime? I look forward to your answers in the comments. If you enjoyed this timeline, smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite anime, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our coverage when Season 2 finally arrives. Until then, this has been your complete timeline of the saga of Tanya the Evil. Dismissed.